Hey kids, today we're going to look at The Lady or the Tiger by Frank Stockton. We've been talking specifically about leadership, and so as we go, I want you to think about what kind of government we're talking about here, as well as how this leadership is impacting the society as a whole. The other thing I want for you to think about is basically human motivation and what makes us do what we do, and maybe a little bit of the idea of jealousy. So as we start going here, again, as we look at the title, because that's where we usually start when we're reading a piece, we have the lady or the tiger. So it shows me that there's going to be some kind of choice because we have an or. So it's making me wonder, would I rather have a lady or a tiger? I associate tigers usually with eating me, unless it's a cute little baby tiger. So, and I don't know, I wonder if this is kind of a which one's better type of piece. So, all right. Long ago, in the very olden time, there lived a powerful king. Okay, so we see the word king, so I want you to think of what kind of government this is and what's probably going on in the society as a whole because there's a king. So some of his ideas were progressive. Progressive means like moving things forward, like thinking kind of outside of the box. But others caused people to suffer. One of the king's ideas was a public arena as an agent of poetic justice. Justice is like when you go to court, you seek justice. You want to get it like the gavel hit. So crime was punished or innocence was decided by the result of chance. Ooh, so there's not like a court or due process. It's by chance. So think of chance as like, it's just like, yeah, like heads or tails when you flip a coin, that's chance. You don't know what it's going to do. It's just based on whatever happens. When a person was accused of the crime, his future would be judged in the public arena. So a bunch of people are watching, like it's a football stadium, and then this person's fate is decided. All of the people would gather in this building. The king sat up high on his ceremonial chair. He gave a sign. A door under him opened. The accused person stepped out into the arena. Directly opposite the king were the two doors. They were side by side, exactly alike. The person on trial had to walk directly to these two doors and open one of them. He could open whichever door he pleased. So like I'm picturing, here's the arena. I have the king is sitting here like in a big chair. That's my awesome chair for you. The man is down here, and there is a door here, and there's a door here. Okay, and the man, or I'm assuming it just says man, but would pick and open one of the doors to decide his fate. So I'm wondering what's behind these doors that's deciding the fate. And, maybe that's that idea of coming back to the lady or the tiger. I mean, there's two doors, lady, tiger, that's two things. So I'm wondering maybe if those kind of tie back together or not. So let's keep going. If the accused man opened one door, out came a hungry tiger. So it's not just a tiger, it's a hungry tiger. The fiercest in the land, the tiger immediately jumped on him and tore him to pieces as punishment for his guilt. The case of the suspect was thus decided. So then he's guilty. You got eaten. Iron bells rang sadly. Great cries went up from the paid mourners. Paid mourners. So a mourner is someone who is like being sad for something. So they are paid mourners. Their job is to be a mourner. And the people with heads hanging low and sad hearts slowly made their way home. They mourned greatly that one so young and fair, or so old and respected, should have died this way. But if the accused opened the other door, there came forth from it a woman, chosen especially for the person. To this lady he was immediately married in honor of his innocence. It was not a problem that he might already have a wife and family, or that he might have chosen to marry another woman. The king permitted nothing to interfere with his great method of punishment or reward. So even if the man already had a wife, if he chose the door with the woman behind it, they were immediately married. And it's like, I guess his other life never existed. Another door opened under the king, and a clergyman, singers, dancers, and musicians joined the man and the lady. The marriage ceremony was quickly completed. Then the bells made the cheerful noises. The people shouted happily, and the innocent man led his new wife to his home, following children who threw flowers on their path. So the king's here and he has a door down here. This is where the party is. The party people come on out if he chooses the woman from the two doors. This was the king's method of carrying out justice. Its fairness appeared perfect. Really? To whom? The accused person could not know which door was hiding the lady. He opened either as he pleased without knowing whether in the next minute he was to be killed or married. Sometimes the fierce animal came out of one door, sometimes it came out of the other. This method was a popular one. When the people gathered together on one of the great trial days, they never knew whether they would see a bloody killing or a happy ending, so everyone was always interested. And the thinking part of the community would bring no change of unfairness against his plan. Did not the accused person have the whole matter in his hands? So the thinking community, so the people who are thinking, does not everybody think? You know, and maybe that brings up that idea of does everyone think in terms of like, is this fair and is this what we should be doing? Or is there always in society like people who just kind of go with it more readily, and then other people who sit back and think? Or do we all think, but when things are going the way we want them to, we don't have to think as much? I don't know. I'm not sure. But everyone was always interested because you didn't know what kind of show you're going to get that day. So it's almost like it reminds me of Rome, where they use the Colosseum for the gladiator battles as well. The king had a beautiful daughter who was like him in many ways. He loved her above all humanity. The princess secretly loved a young man who was the best looking and bravest in the land. But he was a commoner, not part of an important family. So I'm sure if Dad finds out about this, if the king finds out that his princess daughter is in love with just some dude and not with another prince, probably not going to be happy. So I'm imagining he's not going to be thrilled. One day the king discovered the relationship between his daughter and the young man. The man was immediately put in prison. A day was set for his trial in the king's public arena. This, of course, was an especially important event. Never before had a common subject been brave enough to love the daughter of the king. So there's a twist. The king knew that the young man would be punished, even if he opened the right door, and the king would take pleasure in watching the series of events which would judge whether or not the man had done wrong in loving the princess. So the man's going to be punished even if he opened up the right door, because even if he opens the door to the lady and he marries her, who is this man actually in love with? And so his punishment may not be like something bad happens to him, like he gets eaten, but he's now married to a woman whom he doesn't love. And so, and continue, we're right here. The king knew that the young man, we just read that part. The day of the trial arrived. From far and near, the people gathered in the arena and outside its walls. The king and his advisors were in their places opposite the two doors. You know, that advisors part, like that should ring true for a lot of you. All was ready. The sign was given, the door under the king opened, and the love of the princess entered the arena. So the love of the princess, remember, is the man. Tall, beautiful, and fair, his appearance was met with a sound of approval and tension. Half the people had not known so perfect a young man lived among them. No wonder the princess loved him. What a terrible thing for him to be there. So because he's good looking, it's a better thing for him to be there than if he wasn't. As the young man entered the public arena, he turned to bend to the king, but he did not at all think of the great ruler. The young man's eyes instead were fixed on the princess who sat to the right of her father. From the day it was decided that the sentence of her love would be decided in the arena, she had thought of nothing but this event. So she's obviously upset about the whole thing that's happening too. The princess had more power, influence, and force of character than anyone who had ever before been interested in such a case. She had done what no other person had done. She had possessed herself of the secret of the doors. So she knew behind which door stood the tiger and behind which waited the lady. So she knows where the tiger is and she knows where the lady is. Okay. Gold and the power of a woman's will had brought the secret to the princess. So she was so willful that she was able to find out which door held which. She also knew who the lady was. The lady was one of the loveliest in the kingdom. Now and then the princess had seen her looking at and talking to the young man. So here brings in this conundrum for the princess, as we start to think, here, the princess hated the woman behind that silent door. She hated her with all the intensity of the blood passed to her through long lines of cruel ancestors. So this princess, she knows the lady. She knows the fact that the lady has talked to the prince, and she don't like this lady. So the princess is kind of at this idea of, she knows which one's which. And if, he gets eaten by a lion, that's not going to be good. But if she marries this particular lady, if he marries this particular lady, so this particular lady is also not what she wants because she is not like this particular lady. So let's continue. Her love turned to look at the princess. His eye met hers as she sat there, paler and whiter than anyone in the large ocean of tense faces around her. So if she's paler and whiter, like I'm wondering if part of that is because she's so scared or nervous, not just skin hue, and the ocean of tense faces, so lots of them. He saw that she knew behind which door waited the tiger and behind which stood the lady. He had expected her to know it. The only hope for the young man was based on the success of the princess in discovering this mystery. When he looked at her, he saw that she had been successful, and he knew she would succeed, as he knew she would succeed. So he knew that she was going to figure it out. So he knows she knows which door. So he knows that she knows which door he should pick.